Right, good morning all. So we're moving along with the conversation on monotheism. Right, and we're looking at Surah 24, verse 55. Right, so again, is continuing the conversation, right, which is not a recent conversation, right? This is an ancient thing. So, principle, right? So when people come and they be like, oh, so you use XYZ, you use XYZ to so and so and so. Let me remind you all that this thing existed from since the earth came into be or the universe came into be, right? This principle, right? So messengers have come time after time to elaborate on this, right? So even back in the time, I don't know how many of you all know about Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He was called at the time, right? Dayanand Saraswati, right? He was, even if you talk about him or bring him into conversation, right? He was just a reformer, right? Or a remembrance of that principle, right? So he is not to be worshipped as any. Well, in Vedic tradition, they don't worship him; they remember him, right? But just saying that he is not to be worshipped is just like anybody else come to teach this information, right? It's just to reinvigorate or remember the principle. He would have come to remind people of the principle of monotheism, just like, right, just like many Muslims are doing, just like I am trying to do here, right? Just to remind people of this principle, right? So it's nothing about anybody using anybody because this principle existed from time immemorial. So from time after time, messengers would come and any teacher, right, could come and just remind people that, hey, you don't worship any intermediaries, right? Any intermediaries or so on between you and God, right? So verse 55, Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds that he will surely grant them succession to authority upon earth, just as he granted it to those before them, and he will surely establish for them their religion, which he had preferred for them, and he will surely substitute for them after fair security. For they worship Allah alone, not associating anything with Allah. But whoever disbelieve after that, they are amongst the defiantly disobedient, right? So this is in fact amongst one of the messages, as amongst the final messages, right? Before we return back to God or die. That's why in Islam there is saying that everybody should die Muslim, right? Meaning die in submission to that principle, right? Die in submission to the principle that there is only one God and it's not you or I, but it's not any human on earth. There's only one God, indivisible, unseen God that's worthy of worship, right? So we continue this conversation with Surah 25 tomorrow.